Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports today.
Searching all major sports.
Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
Sure, you could call it the NCAA tournament, but at a certain point, it feels a little bit like the SEC tournament with how many SEC teams get in. First, a record number of teams make it into the field, and now a Sweet 16, also dominated by SEC teams. Locked On SECs. Chris Gordy joins me now, and Chris, Arkansas going to be the headline here as we come in, but also Florida and UConn play a dandy. What is the big storyline that you have your eye on here?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the storyline is the SEC teams that were seeded 3 seed or higher have all survived and advanced. I mean, to me, that's the bigger deal. To get 14 teams in, look, to me, I put an asterisk next to it. It should be 13 because, Texas got the first 4 in. I mean, it's like the right to make the real tournament. But still 13 is pretty damn strong. And now, you look at it and say, the first few days I saw, when some of those SEC teams were losing, the Danny Cannells and people were like, oh, the SEC was overrated. I said, guys, just because a 6 seed lost, let's not freak out. I'm more worried about the 1s, 2s, and 3s because those are your best chances at winning a national championship. And those teams are all still very much alive. And the outside chance, Peter, that we could get an all Final Four SEC teams, which I know Greg Sankey would absolutely throw a party for if that were to happen. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's still, a possibility at this point.
Well, and because we have Tennessee, Kentucky in one of the games, there's a lock that at least one of those teams is going to make the Elite Eight. So, that's a nice start. You're guaranteed an Elite Eight team. That's a good place to be. Auburn, Alabama, you mentioned these top seeded teams, Kentucky, Tennessee. Of that group, we've seen, all of them really at various times look like they have a chance to be Final Four teams. As you look at the paths now to the Final Four, who do you think has the most straightforward path to the Final Four?
I mean, it's tough to, Houston's a really good team, man. And it feels like if they beat Purdue, Kentucky or Tennessee, the winner, that's going to get them. And again, this looks like one of Kelvin Sampson's stronger teams. I've had several Arkansas fans tell me that they think Texas Tech is a good matchup for them, that they, they're going to be the underdog, but they think they can win it. But I think Florida, I mean, you look at what they're going to get, the winner of Maryland, Colorado State, and then, we'll see what the path looks like after that. But I don't know. We came in thinking Florida was the best team, in the tournament. They were riding the hot streak, winning the SEC tournament. So I think Florida has a great chance. Obviously, Alabama's got, possibly Duke going to be standing in their way, which is going to be very tough. So, my money would still be on Florida. I still like Tennessee a lot. And, man, I do like the Alabama team. We'll see what happens, in Duke's matchup with the winner of Oregon, Arizona. But I like this Alabama team because you look at what Nate Oates has done the past 3 years. He made the tournament. Then he made a Sweet 16. Last year, he made a Final Four. He's taken a step forward every year. The next logical step is to play for a national championship. And led by Mark Sears, who's a senior, and Grant Nelson, who's been banged up. I mean, they have the pedigree, man. They got the offense, and they're playing good enough defense right now to compete with anybody.
Okay, but our guy Zach Blackerby is going to be mad. We haven't even mentioned number 1 seed Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, and that's probably I mean, I think my bracket, I think I filled out. I had Iowa State beating them in the next round, so we'll see. But I've said this all year long that Auburn has been sitting as the number 1 team in the country for much of the year. You've got Janai Broom, who was right there with flag for best player in the country. And I think hands down, most Auburn fans you talk to say this is the best Auburn team they've ever had on the basketball court. And so if that's the case, you better damn well get far in the tournament because this is your best chance. Like, you don't want to sit back and go, well, it was our best team ever, but we were eliminated in the Sweet 16 round. No, like, you have to make a deep tournament run if you're Bruce Pearl.
And they are 7.5-point favorites against Michigan here. And look, like they could get Michigan State in the Elite Eight. Like it's not like this is going to be a cakewalk here, but the forgotten team in all of this. As we sit here right now, Chris, What do you think is the most likely? Just give me a quick prediction, Final Four prediction. Let's do it.
Oh man. So I'm going to take my SEC bias hat off. Okay. I'm going to give you, I'll give you Auburn coming out of the South. Even though I just said, they could get upset. I'm going to take
your bias
Duke.
hat off. So we're safe. We're safe.
Yeah. I'll take Duke out of the East, although I do like Alabama. God, if we could get an Auburn-Alabama matchup, would just be incredible with all that on the line. I think Tennessee will likely beat Kentucky, but I've seen this Houston team in person, and they've always been strong defensively. Kelvin Sampson's crew, now they got the offense to back it up. LJ Cryer and all those guys playing their butts off. So I think Houston gets it done, and they get back to the Final Four. And then on the other side, I think I'll ride with the Florida Gators out of the West. Again, Todd Golden is doing his best job, man. I think they might have faced their toughest test against UConn. They survived against the back-to-back reigning champs. They may not face a tougher team the rest of the way.
You're Locked On Sports today. Coming up, the women's tournament. Electric so far. Before we get to why, Steph Curry is close to returning. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. You can check out some NBA lines like the battle in Brooklyn tonight. The Nets and the Mavericks face off. Okay, not the best game, but come on, it's sports. According to FanDuel, Dallas 1-point road favorite in this one. No Luka, no Kyrie. But yeah, yikes. FanDuel.com. Get in on the college hoop action all tournament long. Steph Curry is close to returning to the court. He will make the trip with the Warriors to Miami for Tuesday's game, but some tests lay ahead. Whether or not Curry plays against the Heat will depend on how his pelvic bruise responds to treatment over the next 2 days, according to reports. The Warriors, who lost Saturday night in Atlanta 124-115 without Curry, have said their franchise star will be reevaluated Monday. Coach Steve Kerr said before the loss to the Hawks that he was hopeful Curry would rejoin the team at some point during Golden State's 6-game road trip. Michigan State looked to advance to the Sweet 16 again.
Just your typical Michigan State basketball game. We're going to go down double digits in the first half. We're going to rely heavily on our defense. We're going to out-rebound the other team. We're going to rely on this cast of characters that we have because, yes, we do go 10 deep or 8 in March. But nevertheless, we're going to go into our bench and get some production from guys like Frankie Fiddler. And by the way, Jaden Akins is going to have what I think is a career game. And all of that without anything really from Jace Richardson for the first 37 minutes of this night. You got to be ecstatic winning in March with your best player having that kind of a game. But that's why you have a deep team, Mike. That's why you're Michigan State fans to root for fun teams like this. Oh, my God, this is great. Look, really quick, I thought Jaden Akins had the best minute of his career. The block on one end, where New Mexico was going to tie the game with 8 minutes left and then drills a three-pointer with 7 minutes left. Now, usually you hit a 3 to 7 minutes left. That's not a memorable shot. No, that was to at least extend the lead to 3. Shot clock running out. And Akins, I feel like this whole year when it's been dagger time for him, he's not found the bottom of the net on those 3. So that was massive by Jaden Akins. I'm sorry. Okay, that's not even a question. I just love Jaden Akins.
The Nuggets and the Rockets got together for a litmus test in the West.
Nuggets get the win 116-111 versus the Houston Rockets. Jamal Murray. Ooh.
Killer.
Man. Just 39 points, 15 of 28, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 turnover, a plus 19. I've been talking a lot about how Jamal's been playing really good basketball basically since the turn of the year. And this was another one where he was just absolutely sensational and took it to Men Thompson. Took it to him. He beat everybody on that Rockets team. Off-balance shots, in-control floaters, tough finishes on the interior through contact falling down. Jamal was spectacular in this game.
He was hunting Dylan Brooks too. How often do you see that, Matt? So people are seeking out Dylan Brooks on the other end, trying to attack them. And Jamal just felt very comfortable throughout this game. And The turnover that he had, pretty ugly at the end. It nearly got them in trouble. But if that's the one blemish on what was a fantastic game, like that was a truly impressive performance. And it came at such a big moment because, like we talked about, momentum's not going Denver's way. You're facing off against a top 5 defense. This team is really good. This Houston Rockets team, they had won 9 in a row. Where are you going to look to without Nikola Jokic? You look to your leaders.
And the Pistons got a much needed win.
This was an ugly game for the Pistons. I'm not going to lie to you. There was a point in this game where the Pistons fell down by 5, and it was like, no way are they actually about to lose this game to the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, Cade did not play in this game. He was a late scratch with left calf soreness. THJ obviously did not play in this game due to the injury he sustained in the last game to the Dallas Mavericks. But Cade was a late scratch. But still, this is a Pelicans team that also didn't have Zion and have only won 19 games. They only won this game by 6, and a large reason why they were able to pull this out was Ron Holland had, I think, the best game of his career tonight. 10 of 14 from the field, 26 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and a steal. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I thought he was the biggest reason why the Pistons won. Matt, what did you think about what you saw from Ron?
Yeah, Pelicans also without Trey Murphy now, as opposed to our last matchup. Yeah, Ron was incredible. Obviously, the biggest positive that came out of this game. The Cade door closes, Ron Hollins opens. I mean, I think that you kind of saw the flashes of what make him awesome or make him tantalizing right now, and it's the athleticism. Defensively, it's being able to fly around, cause chaos, create turnovers, make guys uncomfortable, just really generally, honestly. And offensively, I think you saw the touch around the rim, which really excites everybody. You saw his ability to put it on the floor. Kind of finish with different angles from different spots around the rim. But it was kind of the Ron Holland show. It was really fun to watch.
A lot of momentum in women's college basketball, but how would they do without some of the star power that drove the tournament last year? Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, we know the names. Well, we got a big upset to get to the Sweet 16.
We need to keep you updated on the biggest storylines of the tournament. And my goodness, none bigger than Kansas State, Kentucky, 2 Sweet 16 level teams, but only one of them was able to make it. And it is Kansas State doing it for the first time since 2002 with an 80-79 victory over the Wildcats on their home floor. This one went down to the final seconds. The great Georgia Amore, who we have been telling you about, sees her college career come to an end. An incredible give and go, has a point blank look from close range, but misses it off the side rim. Not able to ultimately prevail. So much to get into about this one. For one thing, Ayoka Lee back healthy, early foul trouble though, put her on the bench, and Kentucky took advantage for a lot of it. Clara Strack ended up playing 43 minutes, 22 points, 8 rebounds. Such an impressive player. Deja Lawrence again, 42 minutes. She had 15 points. The Kentucky Wildcats under Kenny Brooks, everyone left everything out on the floor, including Georgia Amore with the 18 points and 6 assists. They made her work for it, but ultimately really an amazing collegiate career. But we have to talk about on Kansas State, Tamira Poindexter. And yes, Serena Sundell, remarkable point guard as usual. No different here. 19 points, 14 assists. Yes, Ayoka Lee, when she was out there, only 28 minutes. But I do want to point out, after she got into early foul trouble, did an exceptional job staying out there, was out there for the fourth quarter, throughout overtime, did not foul out despite having the 4 fouls, 16-9, really strong. But Tamira Poindexter, shoot, okay? And she shot 1 for 8 in the win over Fairfield in round 1. She went back out there. Kentucky made the decision to consistently double Ayoka Lee. Not so crazy when somebody scored more than 50 points in a game before. That left Poindexter open. And not only did she have 8 threes, 8 of 15 from the field, so made more than half of her threes. That 3 in the final minute of overtime ultimately gave K-State the lead that they would not relinquish. This is a very dangerous Kansas State team, capable of doing a bit of everything. We will find out whether they are playing USC or Mississippi State in the Sweet 16, but the bottom line is they will be there for sure. Fascinating times ahead for Kansas State. The other game I really want to highlight for you out of the Sunday action, and that is 10 seed Oregon against 2 seed Duke. Again, Oregon and the Ducks gave it absolutely everything they had, fell just short by a score of 59-53. Let's talk a little bit about multiple facets of this game. So first of all, you have the fact that Fournier was not able to play. The next correspondent, Lauren Rouse, asked Carol Lawson about it after the game. She said there was no diagnosis, no timetable, so we don't know much other than she was too sick to play and other folks needed to step up. And for Carol Lawson, they did very specifically. Ashlyn Jackson, who is not a one-hit wonder here. Ashlyn Jackson has been really impressive all season long for Duke, has played and started all 35 games, had 0 points at the break. 0 points. This is, by the way, the same player who scored 30 against Kansas State back in November. Halftime came. They talked it over. Jackson ultimately came out there and scored 20 points, all in the second half. She told our reporters after the game, we knew that we just had to continue to compete and up our level a little bit energy-wise and just stay the course. They went ahead and did that. Jackson more than made up for the absences and was able to, down the stretch, help her team prevail flat out on their home floor against a double-digit seed. Duke does not win that game without every point that Jackson gives them.
Coming up, don't sleep on the A's. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. You can check out some NBA lines like the battle in Brooklyn tonight. The Nets and the Mavericks face off. Okay, not the best game, but come on, it's sports. According to FanDuel, Dallas 1-point road favorite in this one. No Luka, no Kyrie. But yeah, yikes. FanDuel.com. Get in on the college hoop action all tournament long. Okay, look, they're playing in a AAA ballpark. They're currently in the middle of a move that isn't totally settled yet. They're the A's. City redacted. Don't sleep on them. What are we going to call them? Well, Locked On A's host Booney tells us the rest of the hosts in the AL West Division preview not to forget about the Athletics.
My take is going to be a little bit of controversial and a little bit of surprising to a lot of listeners, and you'll understand why after I say it, but give me a minute here. I think and I'm not saying this just because a host of the A's or a homer take. I think the A's are going to win the West, and not only win the West, I think they're going to run away with it. And let me tell you why. Last year, the big optimism with regard to the A's coming into this year was a 500 record in the second half. Well, it's actually a lot better if you really look at it. They had an awful September with a lot of September call-ups. July and August, they were 29-22 and literally gave away 3 games, 2 to Anaheim and 1 to Cincinnati. I mean, gave them away. I mean, I'm sure everybody has that story. Point being, at the 29-22 record, I believe they had the 5th best record in the American League. And if you count what was supposed to happen, if call-ups here and call-ups there, I mean, you're looking at one of the best records in all of American League. We're better this year. If you look and stop considering the A's ownership and the move and playing in a minor league ballpark, player for player down the line, we are extremely, extremely talented. Obviously, like everybody else, we have to stay healthy and pitching has to hold up. I mean, I think that's everybody's story. I agree with all you guys. I think the West is going to be so fun. You're looking at Seattle as, I don't think there's much of an argument here, is probably the best pitching staff in all of baseball. When you're looking at Texas, Eovaldi and DeGrom, speak for themselves, and that lineup is ridiculous. the Astros are the Astros. And the Angels are young and they're up and coming, and Mike Trout's still there. So they are off the charts. I think it's going to be a fun division. But if you really, really look at the A's roster, lineup, pitching staff, bullpen, don't forget the bullpen. Last year, it was ranked one of the best in baseball. We're better this year. I love the Leclerc pickup. I love Miller in the ninth. It's almost going to be a 7-inning game for as I consider. I think everyone's sleeping on the A's and they're saying, hey, they're going to be better. They're going to be improved. No, I think we're going to be a lot better than what you think. I would compare it to, and I'm not saying it's going to be this, but something similar when the Giants won 107 games a few years ago. I'm not saying the A's are going to win that many, but how that came at a big surprise and out of nowhere. The A's are going to be that good. We'll see what happens. We have to stay healthy. Everybody has a story.
And finally, the Wisconsin women are really, really good at hockey. But their 8th championship, a record, came down to the wire. Kirsten Sims scored on a penalty shot to tie it after a successful Wisconsin challenge with just over 18 seconds left, and then delivered the winner 2 minutes and 49 seconds into sudden death overtime to rally the top-seeded Badgers to a 4-3 victory over number 2 Ohio State in the championship match of the Women's Frozen Four on Sunday. Sports. I cannot imagine doing life without sports. They're the best. They're the best. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up, who's going to win the AL East? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports. For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.